Hello, Charlie TCG here, and welcome back to my channel. Happy Destined Rivals Release Day. The new set is finally here, returning the Team Rocket's cards as well as some very cool and unique owners Pokemon. So in today's video, I'm breaking down the top 5 competitive decks in this brand new format. Now I did a few days ago my best rogue archetypes in this new set, so in today's video we're looking at a more competitive one. The one that's actually doing pretty well over Japan, which I think will have a great sort of translation over to our new metagame, especially as you're gearing up for NEIC, which is just a few weeks away. So without further ado, let's jump right into the video. Now my number 5 pick does actually go to Ethan's Typhlosion. Now, the thing about say, hear me out, this deck I think is absolutely incredible. It is one of the best single prize attackers we have seen in such a long time. Though it may not have had the good sort of results at the Champions League, it has some quite a few day 2 sort of finishes, and the City League meta share is about 2.9% out of all of the Destined Rivals sort of format over there from the release of a Team Rocket set, which is very, very powerful. It has an amazing attack, the Buddy Bass, 40 damage plus 60 more damage for each Ethan's Adventure card you have in the discard pile. And Ethan's Adventure is very powerful, it sets up the deck very nicely. 13 attack for free up to any combination of Ethan's Pokemon or Fire Energies, and you can easily get this out from the Quilava, which evolves into this one, which searches the deck for Ethan's Adventurer. Now, if we have all of these Ethan's Adventurer in the discard pile, you're now hitting for 280 damage, which is very, very powerful and pretty much can streamline nearly every single big one-hit KOs or set up everything straight away for only one single Fire Energy. Now, obviously, one of the biggest cons about this one is it can sometimes take a little bit of a setup. You may not be attacking until potentially turn 3 sometimes. So you might want to sit behind a Badu or a Cleffa to draw into this one. And obviously, through 280 damage is very powerful, but it doesn't always one-hit KO things. Now, the list I've been kind of like toying around with is definitely having the Pidgeot EX. Now, I have been trying out the Dunsparce going pure single prize sort of route, but I think kind of having that additional factor of Pidgeot and versatility is what this deck really unlocks it to make as powerful as possible. Going with a 4-4-3 line of the Ethan's Typhlosion, I think is a great way around this one, especially a 2-1-2 line of Pidgeot EX. As this deck does focus around a lot more Arvin and Team Evolution, is a good way effectively after your first sort of turn. First then going second, evolving one for Quilava's and then to Pidgeot, so effectively you can straight away get the Pidgeot EX and go into Typhlosion very, very early on. Now, one thing which is prevalent in this metagame is likes of item lock. So over likes of Lana's Aid, I think is a great sort of inclusion. It's a good sort of recovery card to get out some energies and Pokemon from the discard pile, put them straight into your hand, not relying on the likes of Super Rod, which you could play, and definitely also that nice stretcher. One of the key cards in this deck is definitely that redeemable ticket, which is the only way how we can interact with the prize cards right now. Lets you go count the amount of prize cards you have, shuffle them into the deck, and then draw the top. So shuffle them into the deck, then draw the top amount of cards you counted and put them on as your prize card. This is a way to get out your Ethan's Adventure from the prize cards, so you actually have a way to actually guarantee you can get them straight away. But of course, use your Quilava, use a way to actually have all the Ethan's Adventure from the deck in your hand before you use this one, because you don't want to use your one redeemable ticket and then shuffle in even more Ethan's Adventure straight away. Having the maximum belt, make sure you can hit the 330 damage, so a great way to KO like Charizard. And of course, Defiance belt plus Victini makes it hit 320 damage if you are behind in prizes. So overall, I think this deck is really, really strong and a very, very powerful contender to be the best single prize attacking option right now. Now, number 4 goes to Marnie's Grimmsnarl, a deck which had a huge amount of popularity after just having a day 2 appearing on one day 2 stream over in Japan on the April Champions League. Then after that on the Aichi one just a few weeks ago, it obviously got a top 8 and 3 top 16 spaces, where 3 of those sort of lists are all exactly the same as the top 8 one, which is very, very powerful, having a great sort of placement right now. Obviously, we saw the Frostless Monkey Dory build do really well in the Journeys Together Champions League in Japan, winning the Junior and Senior Champions League over them. With the way around this one, you have Frostless with its ability, put loads of damage counters on Pokemon which have abilities, and Monkey Dory to move all these damage counters around this one. And obviously, you have Marnie's Grimmsnarl, which has amazing inbuilt acceleration, punked up, search your deck for a card that when you evolve into this one, search your deck for up to 5 basic Darkness Energies and attach them to your Marnie's Pokemon any way you like, and the Shadow Bullet doing 180 damage and 30 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. But one of the biggest cons about this deck is sometimes Marnie's Grimmsnarl isn't actually worth the time. You're sometimes great just using Badu Lock, having a Frostless, having a Monkey Dories, going to single pricer. Grimmsnarl, yes, it's great, has a ton of HP and can tank a lot of hits and kind of good setup, but sometimes it may not be needed. This is the list, obviously, that did get top 4. I've talked about it a few weeks ago, and I think this is definitely the best way to play this deck. Having a 4-2-3 line of Marnie's Grimmsnarl is perfect, and you obviously have Spike Murph as Gym, which is an amazing way to search deck from Marnie's Pokemon, reveal it, pop it in your hand. This is great for that inbuilt acceleration, get straight into your Morgrims, get straight into your Impotence early on, and also Marnie's Grimmsnarl for the late sort of turn. 3 Monkey Dories, if you have all of them set up, and they can move around effectively a ton of damage counter every single turn. This obviously works well with the TM Devolution plays, if we're in a very big evolving format, which if we've got to look about it a little bit more, all of these decks in this format do focus around this stage 3 Pokemon, stage 2 Pokemon. So that's one great, amazing thing right now in this sort of deck. So Team Devolution is really, really strong right now, and Secret Box get any sort of card. You'll definitely notice that Shaman pop in a lot of stuff. Yes, it may hinder your own sort of Grimmsnarl, so you can't do 30 damage, but you want to protect your guys as much as possible. Now, number 3 pick goes to Charizard, and I kind of want to say this is a bit of an asterisk. You can kind of go with either Charizard / Raging Bolt. I didn't actually put Raging Bolt in this list because I think, yes, it is very powerful. Yes, it has won a regional championship a few weeks ago, but I think Charizard is still in a great sort of spot. The reason I put an asterisk is because it's very well because of the Psyduck, which obviously stops the likes of Dusclops and Dusknoirs, but that is not going to be our Destined Rival set, and we do not know when we're going to get this. So that's definitely one of the issues right now, and that's why I put the win as an asterisk, because it did obviously do really well with Dragapult, but it did get 2 top 4 finishes just as Charizard itself, which I think is still in a great sort of situation. City League, it was a 7.32%. It's obviously very, very powerful, and Charizard is in a great sort of spot right now. Obviously has the amazing ability and attack with that energy acceleration and Burning Darkness, which does even more damage to the amount of prize cards your opponent has taken. But I still think it needs quite a lot of setup before you can really start some attacking. You do always want to kind of go very aggressive with Charizard, and I feel like this sort of build, which did get top 4, is definitely the best way to round this one. Now, I did actually make a change. That one did run Psyduck. I effectively just cut the Psyduck and chuck in the Badoo. I think that's still absolutely perfect. But I really, really love where Charizard is situated right now in this new format. Having Maximum Box, make sure Charizard, the Burning Darkness can actually get the big attack much early on to get the KO. Obviously, it's great, especially against these 220 HP Pokemon, 230 HP. Just chuck a Maximum Belt. If they don't take a prize, you straight away can use Charizard to actually initiate the prize trace, which is exactly what this deck needs to have. One thing I always notice with Charizard, compare it to likes of Dragapult wants to go a bit slower. It wants to go the Badoo sort of lock it around here because it's got a good sort of draw factor and then go into the attack. Charizard doesn't want that. It wants to have the setup. So on your first turn going second, you want to clever. You want to draw into your 7 cards. You want to discard a lot of stuff, have a huge sort of setup, or even go the TM Evolution approach. So you can go attacking and swinging of Charizard as early as turn 2. So you don't really want to use the Badoo, but I still think it's a good inclusion as well, just to have that sort of option as well, locking out the opponent. You aren't playing this at 90 HP Charmeleon, which does protect it from damage counters. We could see that increase definitely being utilized right now, stopping likes of Dragapult. So it's definitely another inclusion. Swap it out from the 90 HP one, but obviously it's still good to do 70 damage for 2 energies, which is really, really must right now. Now, number 2 is no surprise at all. Not number 2 and number 1 is they've basically been pretty much identical for effectively this whole year. We're nearly 6 months in, and it's always either Gardevoir or Dragapult. But I've now put Gardevoir at that number 2 spot. It's doing incredibly well over Japan, getting that 10.3%, and the Champions League just recently got a top 8 and a top 16 space. Now, one thing definitely to notice, I am not including the one from April releases. The reason being is because that didn't include any of the Team Rocket cards, and their Gardevoir and Dragapult absolutely dominated, but it didn't have any of the increase or new sort of cards as well, so that's why I haven't included this one. But Gardevoir did actually gain a few sort of good new cards to play around with. It did get the likes of the Petrol, which is another, basically your 5th or 6th Arven, gain search there for any sort of trainer card and pop into your hand. Yes, you can get a supporter card for next turn, but you can get that extra-additional TM Evolution. You can get out Buddy Poffin. You can get out the Artisan, which you wouldn't have been able to get before with an Arven. And also you get the Team Rocket's Mimikyu as well, copying that Terra Pokemon in the active spot, copying the likes of Dragapult with the Leaf Clefairy. Instead of using Mew to take with a 2 prize liability, you can now use a single prize liability. Obviously that's great right now. It hits the big sort of decks for weakness. These very powerful things, likes of Raging Bolt, as well as also the likes of Dragapult. But on the so-called double-edged sword, Dark Pokemon are doing really well. Minus Grimmsnarl, Charizard, Zoroark, all this one has got a huge hit and can instantly one-hit KO these Gardevoirs very, very easily. So that's one of the issues right now. But spraying around damage counters is really, really strong, especially right now. Having the likes of the TM Devolution is definitely going to be a must right now in Gardevoir. If we notice this right now, and effectively all of this one, I've just talked about Stage 2 Pokemon as being the most competitive decks all year round, which is something we haven't seen in a very, very long time. So could we actually finally see the return of Stage 2 back in its former glory and seeing goodbye to having these big basic Pokemon? Now, this one did focus more on Screamtail, having two of them in this one. This is the top 8 list. I definitely would potentially like to swap it out for a Drifloon, but because of the likes of Shaman right now, Shaman, yes, is great. It protects all your bench Pokemon, except the likes of Gardevoir EX, the Fairy, and Mew. But obviously, it stops Screamtail from actually doing any bench damage, so that's one of the big limitations. This one does play the new sort of importer, the Petrol, which I really like. I've already mentioned before, it's your 5th and 6th Arven, and I think in Gardevoir, it is just that good right now. You could potentially add the Team Rocket's Mimikyu in this sort of deck, just so you've got an additional sort of other attacker. But in the Terras, if we're seeing Charizard do really well, if we're seeing Dragapult kind of rise up the ranks again, we could definitely see the return of that in this sort of format. Definitely something to really think about right now. And finally, number 1 pick, I've gone for Dragapult. Yes, Dragapult is back at the top, and potentially even with Dusknoir being much more stronger now. If we don't have a release of Psyduck, we could see a really big argument about Dusknoir being the best version to play Dragapult. Now I know what you're saying right now. Charlie, most of the regionals have Dragapult's best finish have been pure pulp, not with the Dusknoir. That's true, but I think this format right now is really going back. I think Dusknoir is definitely the best partner. Look at the City League result, 12.8%. It was constantly always at the top every single time. And yes, this Champions League, it may not have done well, the one in the Aichi one, only getting 1 win. And again, that's an asterisk because it had Charizard. But it did obviously do very, very well the one in April time, getting multiple top 8s and including that win as well. It is one of the best decks really have in the game for the attack, and it's such a great sort of slow deck, but generally I feel like it's also in that identity crisis right now. It doesn't know what exactly the best way to play this one. Is it straight pole? Is it the likes of Dusknoir? Is it having the best partner going with Pidgeot? Does it need Xatu? What is the best ace spec? There are so many different partners about where Dragapult is kind of like pulled in, but I think one of the best ways right now in this new format is that Dragapult Charizard. I think this build is incredibly powerful right now. Again, I've done exactly like Charizard, which to do well, I swapped out the Psyduck for having that Cleffa and Badu, so you have that additional draw factor or disruptive capability. I think going for the Charizard is a good sort of way of having that energy acceleration in this deck. Teaming up with 3 copies of Luminous Energies is actually perfect. You're making sure you can always decide try and find this one out. Yet you can only really get this one through draw. You don't have access to likes of Earthen Vessel, but you have so much draw in this build, like some Pheasantipity, Iono, as well as also your Cloak, so you can easily get your Luminous Energy. Plus, with having this one, you can check out Monkey Dory as well. Chiyu is great for the additional attacking option if one of your Pokemon gets knocked out. And I really love that when we do play that Team Rocket's Hideout for that bit of that disruptive capability, really slowing down any of these knocked out decks right now, which is definitely really terrorizing this sort of format, and you really want to slow it down. Or you go with some Dusknoir build here, which I kind of like teamed up a little bit with myself, but also really liking it as well. This one here is a lot more disruptive with its supporter set, its stadium cards, of having 1 jamming tower and 2 copies of Team Rocket's headquarters. Again, you want to be that disruptive, either slowing down tool cards or slowing down the opponent with their setup. I think Dusknoir is great with a 2/2/2 line, as well as also still having that Shaman for additional protection as well, and still 1 copy of Jock as well to get all of your tool Pokemon. This one I've opted to play Up in Neo Energy as our energy acceleration of choice. You could obviously try and get a Crispin in this deck, but I think having Up in Neo Energy with EXP share, you're still in that good sort of situation. As long as you go slow, as long as you get that set up, you shouldn't really be missing that energy attachment every single turn. So what do you think of the Destined Rivals format? Do you agree with my top sort of 5 decks to play in this sort of format? Now, I really love this set. I think it's really powerful, and it's really showcasing some of the good owners Pokemon. We might actually see them see a lot more play instead of saying like sort of Enzoroark, but we actually did see it right at the end. Of course, that Harvey did that great sort of placement at top 4. So hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you have any disagreements or you think of a different one, let me know in the comment section below. Should I have included Raging Bolt? Do you think any of my rogue archetypes that I posted a few days ago, should they be on this list instead of this one? It's a really exciting time, and there's so many sort of good exciting things. Or are we generally in a format where just Dragapult and Gardevoir have been at the top pretty much non-stop for nearly half a year? So hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Happy Destined Rivals release date, and I'll see you guys later. Bye for now.